Hi there. I'm here today. Going to show you a little bit. I have been working on my sourdough a couple years now. Probably close to 3 years now. Anyways, I've finally gotten to the point where I'm real happy with it and the way that it works. And so I've started dehydrating my sourdough starter, and a lot of you are here just to get the instructions on how to get that back up and going again. And some of you are here just because it's on YouTube and you got to see the link or the video on it. So I will leave a link down below, you know, normal stuff, where you can get some of my sourdough starter and get your own method going so that you can be successful too. I have, like I say, I've been working on this for close to 3 years now. I've been through some failures, quite a few failures, and I keep learning. I keep watching more people on YouTube. What I found out is you have to adapt. Not one thing works for everybody. So as I go through and make this video, it's going to be a several day or weeks setup, depends on how I do it. And what I'm going to do is just show you what's worked for me and probably give you some suggestions as to what may help you out, you know, changing things or what I've done or whatever. So anyways, hope you enjoy this, hope you learn something, and don't forget, if you want to just shortcut the whole deal from starting out and start with a good strong sourdough starter, then I'll leave the link to get yours, and then all you got to do is follow the directions from there. All right, thank you much. All right, so starting out here, this is similar to the package you're going to get in the mail. You're going to get some dehydrated starter and instructions. Probably not the exact same looking instructions, because this is, as I'm putting it together, I'm going to have to rewrite it. But anyways, then I'll make it in printable form so that it's easy to mass produce, basically. So what you're going to need also, in addition to what I send you, is, and like I said, this is going to be just my recommendation, what's worked for me. I use a quart, 1 quart, largemouth jar, and you're going to need just a basic lid. It can be new, it can be used, it really doesn't matter. That's what you're going to need there, just to put it in. And when you get your jar, or your starter, like I said, it's going to look a lot like this. It's going to be big pieces, little pieces, whatever. Let me move that over there a little bit. Anyways, what you want to do is just break it up, put it in there. I break it into pieces, whatever. It really doesn't matter the size, because what you're going to do is soak it just to get it back together, or back to, not together, but back as a starter instead of, you know, a hard wafer. Now, I know a lot of people will take this starter when they dehydrate it, and they'll run it through a coffee grinder and powder it, but there's no need for that. That's just an extra step. This stuff works just fine like this, because it was an active yeast starter when it was dehydrated. It'll come right back to where it was, and be happy about it. So anyways, I won't bore you with doing the whole thing, but this is what you're going to end up with. Lots of little pieces in your jar. Okay, so finishing up, got all these pieces broken up. Put it in your jar. All done. We're basically gonna what I ship is Usually between like somewhere around 17, 18 grams of starter, dried powdered starter. So from there, I don't know, I do the grams, the weight measurements, because it's a little more accurate. Everything just seems to work better that way. I've tried it using, cups, use a quarter cup, use a 1 cup, use whatever, and it works, but this seems to work a whole lot better going by grams. So that's what I'm going to suggest you all do. Okay, then next, I'm saying 40 grams of water, and which is about a quarter cup. And there's the quarter, well, there's my water. I use a meat thermometer. Put that in there. You want, get that out of the way. You want about 90 to 95 degree water temperature. That's not in there, but anyways, 90, 95 degree water temperature. That's where the yeast really likes it. Using my scale, get in there, which I've pre-calibrated for the measuring cup, but we've got 40 grams of water now at 95 degrees, or 90, 95 degrees, somewhere in there. Okay, you want to pour that in. And what you end up with is a bunch of chunks of dehydrated starter floating in a little bit of water. Okay, so it's going to take a little while for these to soften up. So what you're basically going to end up with is a little muddy slime type dehydrated starter. So anyways, I'll be back. We'll keep showing you the progress as we go. Okay, so in addition to your starter, your instructions, your 1 quart wide mouth jar, and the lid, of course, to go over that, a couple other things you want to get ahead of time so that you're ready to go. This can be before you even receive your package. You want to pick up a digital scale. Works best to just go by your the weight measurements, which all mine I'm going to put into grams. If you've got a scale anywhere, it'll show you grams. It's great. Okay, in addition to that, I like this one. You need a scraper, spatula, whatever you want to call it, a little soft, bends a little bit so you can scrape things around, makes it work. This one is a Calphalon, not made for sourdough, but it works great. You could also use a silicone type scraper. The other things I use, of course, is a measuring cup, which I don't really measure with it, but I put my water in there as I'm doing it. You want to have a spoon of some type, a scoop, spoon, whatever, because as you measure, of course, you're going to need a digital thermometer, not digital. You can have digital, you can have anything that will tell you your temperature, because your water temperature is crucial as to how the yeast works on this. Too cold, it doesn't want to start up and get active. If it's too hot, you can actually kill the yeast and nothing will work then. Okay, in addition to that, I have whole wheat flour, which I mix 50-50 whole wheat, and this is stone ground whole wheat that I use. Use that, and I also have rye flour. It's called a dark rye flour. Now, the rye flour is one that is actually the yeast is most responsive to. It really activates well that way. Now you can use basically any flour will work. I just find that the dark rye and the wheat flour seem to mix together, make a really active, really good sourdough starter to get this going and to feed it and keep it going and make it nice and active. So anyways, that's a few things that you're going to want to get ahead of time, prepare for, and then we'll get started. All right, after you've poured your water in, you've made that deal, you want to let it soak. You're not in a hurry here because it's going to take close to an hour or more or less, depends on how thick the dehydration pieces are. But anyways, what I usually do is take my little spatula thing, stir it around, check, see, you break up any pieces that are soft. Basically, you just want to keep it hydrated. Like I say, this is going to take close to an hour before it's finally to the point that you want to go to the next step. So, like I say, about every little bit you want to come in and check it out. Put your cap on top, set it in a warm spot, let it do its thing. Alright, time to check it again. Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. It's turning mushy in there. Like I say, I just kind of break it up and turn it back into a muddy, slimy type looking substance. Let's put it that way. Like I said, it takes close to an hour for this to get back there, and then we'll feed it and go from there. Just thought I'd check in on it one more time. Yep, it's doing well, doing well. Like I say, you can see it's starting to turn a little bit. Got a little ways to go though. Lid back on, keep her warm. Okay, I think we're about there. If you look down in there, whoops, yeah, there you go. Look down in there, you see it's kind of creamy. Most all the chunks are gone. You can take the end of that spatula that you have and just kind of smash and work down anything that's left. Alright, so like I say, we've got just a pretty, I don't know if you can see it, pretty creamy, few chunks in there, but they'll work their way out. Alright, so what we're going to do now is feed it. Remember that old movie about the flower shop or whatever it was, and the plant kept saying, "Feed me, feed me." Well, it's time. Alright, so what you want to do is get your scale and you want to zero it out with your jar and all of its contents in it. Alright, now I don't know if you can see it, but anyways, it's there, setting on 0. So now you want to add 50 grams, and I'm putting in the rye flour right now. 31, 44, 49, 50. All right, so 50 grams of rye flour. Now what I like to do, I mean, you can total it up and make it 100 next, but I always just kind of hit it back to 0. Now we're going to do 50 grams of the whole wheat flour. There's 19, 36, 48, 49, whoops, 51. Well, for all practical purposes that's good, but we'll make sure it says right on. Yeah, now it won't do it. Alright, there's our 50. So now you've got 50 grams of wheat flour, and you notice that the wheat flour has got to be a heavier density because it took like what, 3 spoons, and the rye flour took 5. So that's why it's nice to have the scale, because it's hard to say which one is which and how it works. Alright. Now, what you technically want to do is add 100 grams of water, which is equal to what you just put in flour. Alright, so let me go get that. Okay, again, I just use the measuring cup to hold the water, but you do your temperature, 90, 95 degrees. And now you've got your scale zeroed back out, and you want to put 100 grams of water in. Seven. Oops. Well, it went to 105 grams. Close enough. Alright, and then, whoops, not that one. You want your spatula. And now you want to stir it up. Mix that thing up really, really good. You're mixing so that your consistency is like between a pancake batter and a peanut butter. Something so it all mixes well, is moisturized, but you don't want it too thin, you don't want it too thick. And what I find is with 100 grams of water, I can barely mix it up. It's not just near enough. So that's why I say there's variables here. So I had 105. I'm going to turn around and add about, from experience I know that I need to add about 30 more grams of water to make this right. There's 25. There's 30. 30 grams more. Alright, now let me mix this and I'll show you where we're at now. Okay, I'm also going to put the description of this down below there too. You know, the amounts and the times and things like that, just in case, you know, the cat eats your homework, you know, or the instructions get lost. You know what I mean. You may want to just follow along or rewrite it your way, however. So anyways, now I'm mixed, and I like that. If you look in there, I've got a consistency that's close to a peanut butter, but just a little bit thinner. And what you're looking for is that it's able to create bubbles, because bubbles is how you read this thing, which you'll see as this progresses. But you want it to be able to create bubbles. So you just mix it up. I smooth it out down in there so it's pretty even all the way across. And then I don't waste, so I always scrape off my spatula, drop it back in there. Alright, now like I say, you've ended up with a nice smooth setup. Let me get my marker. What you want to do, especially if you're new, get yourself a Sharpie marker, because you want to monitor this. And usually what I'll do, oh, I've already got a mark on there from before. Whoop, there you go. You want to put a mark on there where your level is, so you can see when it starts growing. Okay? Now, once again, you put your lid on, you set it in a warm spot, you come back about 24 hours later, and what we're going to do, I'll do another segment here in 24 hours and show you what it looks like and what we do next. So just set your jar after you've got it to this point, set it in a nice warm spot, and wait till tomorrow.